You know the deal. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go ahead, watch that. And for the rest of you, here we go. A reminder that Sony and Disney have shared ownership of the Tom Holland Spider-Man for now. So Far From Home was mainly a success for Sony Pictures, since Sony actually pays for the production and distribution and keeps the majority of those profits for themselves. The new deal for the upcoming Spider-Man film will have Disney covering 25% of the production costs and receiving 25% of the film's profits. So next time, Disney will have a bigger piece of this pie.
What else is new?
Jumanji proved to be a successful second outing for The Rock's big new franchise. With a slightly larger budget and lower returns, we'll have to see if they're willing to commit to a trilogy. I like to imagine a third Jumanji film would feature the characters teleported into the VR world that Itchy goes into in the Star Wars holiday special. Ah, cinema bliss. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood brought people to the theater with big names like Tarantino, Pitt, DiCaprio, and Robbie, making this Quentin's second highest grossing film of all time. Men in Black International tried to reboot the series without Will Smith, and it did not pay off financially or critically. And next up we have Zombieland Double Tap, more like Zombieland Double Pat, am I right? Because this film got 2 pats on the back, was told to go back to the bench, refill the cooler, it's your kid's t-ball game, Disney's on first base, A24's in the outfield, no one's gonna win this game, it's fine, it's cool. Little Women proved Greta Gerwig's capabilities of working as a critical and commercial filmmaker, both in her original work and remaking American classics. So if Lady Gaga's fans are called the Little Monsters, I like to consider the die-hard Mr. Rogers fans as the Little Neighbors. Unfortunately, they didn't come out this year to A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Who knows? That could be due to the fact that the successful documentary last year pulled some of the hype and excitement away from this release. A Dog's Purpose, A Dog's Journey, no, that's still not right. A Dog's Way Home performed terribly. Sony no doubt believed that they could capture on some of the success that A Dog's Purpose received in 2017, but I guess 3 dog films in just 2 years is just too much. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, there's a 4th one? There's a 5th one on the way? With Harrison Ford? The Angry Birds movie 2 made even less than half the amount that the first Angry Birds movie did. And Charlie's Angels was one of the largest bombs of the year with a final score of just 1.5. Maybe due to the lack of real star power, or the lack of interest in this old and already rehashed IP. Escape Room proved to be a massive success, adding to the ongoing success of the horror genre and theatrical releases. Miss Bala, remade from the 2011 critically recognized Mexican picture, also did poorly, with a low $15 million at the box office to just match its production budget. Brightburn cost barely anything to make, and it made a solid, good $30 million. Sony was probably hoping to make more out of it, but what are you gonna do when your Superman turns out to suffer from toxic masculinity?
The right way.
Bro, not cool.
And finally, Black and Blue, which just doubled its production budget, which really begs the question, why didn't Sony just treat this as the spin-off vehicle for Tyrese Gibson's character in the Fast and Furious franchise?
License and registration, please.
And that's it for Sony. A solid year with decent work that really just pales in comparison when you put it against the juggernauts like Disney and Warner Brothers. Fox is in a weird place. With the acquisition from Disney, a lot of the Fox films released in 2019 were just swept up in the shuffle and suffered because of it. Whether it be due to forced reshoots or a lack of care in terms of advertising, or even just a perceived lack of confidence in their lineup, Fox had a troubling year with their films at the box office. But hey, at least Coca-Cola threw them a few pity bucks. Up yours.
I'll go to hell.
So we can start with Ford v Ferrari, which was a gamble on Fox's part to give $100 million for a historical racing film, which ended up doubling its budget for a lackluster $217 million. And Alita Big Eyes Battle Angel proved to be an ambitious project that didn't pay off in the way James Cameron intended. And now let's just slog through all of these awful, awful losses one after the other. Stuber, or as I call it, Collateral of 2019. Or also The Taxi of 2019. Or also Race to Witch Mountain of 2019. Either way, it fell on its face. Too bad they didn't go to the Ford v Ferrari route and try to get some of that product placement money from Uber.
Turn off the music. Cut it off. Turn off the music.
The kid who would be king turned out to be just as wealthy as Prince Harry at the moment, with a box office run of just $28 million. The 4th film about dogs in the past 2 years, Art of Racing in the Rain, hydroplaned itself into a ditch with just $30 million at the box office. Ad Astra banked on Brad Pitt's star power to pull through on a space epic, reaching the scale and heights of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Instead, it ended up closer to Sunshine in terms of its performance. And Brad Pitt is no Keir Dalia. Keir Dalia played, he was Frank Poole in 2001. He was not Dave, he wasn't Dave, he was the other one. He was the one who was out in the thing, and then the turn around, and then the whoosh, and then the woo. It's fine. Breakthrough continued this trend of a Christian production that began with 2014's God's Not Dead, catering to a specific demographic and turning in massive profits. Oh, and Spies in Disguise. Based off of a 2009 3D animated short film by Lucas Martel, an independent animator who spent 5 years on this personal passion project that was purchased by Fox around 2010. The original short features a pigeon getting trapped in the briefcase of a secret agent that holds the button to nuclear war. So it took Fox 9 years to look at a whiteboard with pigeon plus agent equals movie. And it took about 5 years of brainstorming until one genius in the room realized pigeon equals agent equals movie. And now we have a movie that made $157 million on a budget of $100 million. And finally, Dark Phoenix, a film that was the final nail in the X-Men coffin that began with X-Men Apocalypse, followed by the still unreleased New Mutants, and finished by this travesty of a movie that became the largest flop of the year that angered fans and critics and casual moviegoers alike. So now, the only thing to do now is to pour on out to the 20th Century Fox as we remember this aged titan of Hollywood one last time. I remember that. Oh yeah, that was good. That was good. That was nice. Oh, that's right. Clever Fox. Clever. Good job. Paramount. Paramount found itself wanting to compete in the Division 1 with Disney and Warner Brothers, the big bets on Terminator, Dark Fate, and Gemini Man, but at the end of the day, these two big action blockbusters heavily underperformed at the box office. The Terminator brand is just so worn at this point that audiences are tired of getting their hopes up for another film in this franchise that ends up being so forgettable and lame that they pretend the last one didn't even happen. And while Gemini Man's technological achievements are thoroughly impressive, audiences didn't connect with the incredibly weak story. So after the massive underperforming of the two big frontrunners, Paramount must have been extremely happy with how Rocket Man became quite the hit, running up $189 million at the box office for the low price of just $41 million. So I guess you could say Paramount is still standing. I'm still standing. Yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah. And then most of the rest of Paramount's releases this year just did passably fine. Dora the Explorer scraped by with a 2.3, and What Men Want did slightly better with a 3.4. Most people our age don't even know that What Men Want was a remake of a Mel Gibson movie from 2000 and did far better than this remake. And Paramount's horror releases were good old reliable, with Pet Sematary and Crawl both quintupling their budgets. The Stephen King adaptations have been coming at us non-stop recently, with 2017 and 2019 releasing 4 King films per year. So I guess these movie studios are really walking that green mile of money. Green money, Green Mile. Tom Hanks's Green Mile, Money Mile, Money Monster, all the money in the world. Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, Moneyball, The Color of Money, Mad Money, Money Pit, Danny DeVito's Other People's Money. 2 for the money. What is money? And finally, I just want to talk about Wonder Park, which was one of the strangest films released in 2019. Not due to the plot or anything like that, I barely even know the story of the movie. No, I'm talking about how this is a feature film with no credited director. None. The original director was fired midway through production for sexual harassment complaints, and no one else in the industry wanted to have their name attached to the project. So Paramount just went ahead and had the animators finish everything by themselves, release it, and hope for the best. The best is, unfortunately, just $115 million at the box office from a budget of $100 million, making this a massive flop from Paramount Animations, the same respected studio that brought you Sherlock Gnomes and Romeo and Juliet. Oh, goody. And with that, we have completed the 6 major studios, all of whom at least made some profit in the grand scheme of things. And remember that just because a film underperformed at the box office doesn't mean that there won't be additional sources of revenue to recoup those costs, from things like DVD, Blu-ray sales, streaming licenses, maybe even merchandising if you're lucky. So don't feel too bad about the big corporations, because they're gonna be okay, probably. What I'm really interested in are the smaller companies fighting every day to stay alive and grow. Annapurna, A24, Neon, and even medium-sized distributors like Lionsgate and STX. So come find us for the finale of this trilogy, in which we'll talk about those things and more while we float through the space of Itchy's VR experience in Star Wars Holiday Special. Enjoy! That's it? That's all script?
Yay!